ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतुषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। सप्तकांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्णा। So online attendance you are taking? There is no one so far. Okay. So we discussed in 12.5 the path of Jnana Yoga, which is what are the various difficulties and impracticalities on the path. So we'll just read this comment of Vishwanath Thakur. Okay. The 12th chapter, the superiority of sorry, this is 12th. This verse describes a little of their inferior position. Those who are attached to only Brahman, those who are attracted to only Brahman, who desire only realization of Brahman, undergo excessive difficulties in attaining it. Because by what means at all can something without qualities be made manifest? That goal is attained by the jiva endowed with body. Only by undergoing suffering. The senses have the power for particular knowledge, such as sound, not for something which does not possess particular quality. Therefore, stopping of the senses is necessary for those who desire knowledge of the impersonal without particular quality. But stopping the senses is like stopping rivers. Stopping the senses is difficult. Okay, so here he's saying that avyakta sakta chetasam, those are attached to the impersonal Brahman and want to realize the Brahman. It's very difficult because by what means at all can something without qualities be made manifest? We were discussing this in the morning. So something which does not have any qualities, no form, which is unmanifest, inconceivable. How is it possible for one to think of that, meditate on that, reciprocate with that? Very difficult. And so therefore, the senses have the power for particular knowledge of sound, not for something which does not possess particular quality. So the senses can only perceive something which is quality. You take any of the senses. So the eyes can see some form, the ears can hear some sound, the touch sensation can touch something. So everything, all the senses, the sense objects have some quality. But here there is the impersonal Brahman, which is nirvishesh, no quality. And how to perceive that? So therefore, the impersonalists focus a lot on negating the sense object. So because they have to perceive something which has no qualities, like any of the sense objects. So therefore, totally deny all sense objects for all the senses. That is what they try to do. Therefore, they perform very severe tapasya to negate all sense objects. That's what he's saying. But stopping the senses like stopping rivers, very difficult. Continue. So this is the famous verse Sanat Kumar telling to Pitu Maharaj. Yat pada pankaja palasha vilasa bhaktya karma shayam grati samudgratayanti shantaha tadvanna rikta matayo yato piruddha shroto ganasta maranam bhajavasudevam. The devotees who are always engaged in the service of the Lord, service of the souls of the lotus feet can very easily overcome hard not desires for fruitive activity. Because this is very difficult. The non-devotees, the jnanis and the yogis, although trying to stop the ways of sense gratification, cannot do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in devotional service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. Okay, so this is the difference between the devotees and the jnanis and the yogis. So the devotees, by taking shelter of the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord, yat pada pankaja palasha vilasa bhaktya. Vilas means they are relishing, they are enjoying their devotional service at the lotus feet of the Lord. And karmashayam gratitam, karmashayam, the asha means the desire for karma, fruitive activities. That is what gratitam, hard knotted desires. So therefore, those who are rikta matayo, rikta means empty, mata means intelligence, no intelligence, intelligence is empty. So for them, it is very difficult to cut this karmashayam. So therefore, he is saying, take the shelter of Lord Vasudeva. So that is the difference. Because, and it's a very beautiful purport which Srila Prabhupada gives to this verse, where he explains that why it becomes easy for the devotees to cut this karmashayam, to give up this desire for fruitive activities. Yes, param drishva nivatte, that is higher taste. But these people have no higher taste. What higher taste? So they're performing severe austerities and negating all the sense objects to the senses. Okay, that is all right. But they don't have higher engagement also in devotional service. So in no way they have any type of higher taste. And that is why it becomes very difficult, and then at the slightest agitation they fall down. And then in the next verse, he says, okay, read. The ocean of patience is very difficult to cross because it is infested with many dangerous sharks. Although those who are non-devotees to cross that ocean, we recommend that you simply take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are like boats for crossing the ocean. Although the ocean is difficult to cross, by taking shelter of the lotus feet, you will overcome all dangers. Furthermore, even that goal of impersonal Brahman, which is attained by such suffering, is attained only by having a mixture with bhakti. Without bhakti to the Lord, the worshippers of the impersonal Brahman obtain only suffering, not Brahman. Brahma says, Tesham asau kleshale eva sthate nanyan yatha sthula isava bhati nam. As a person who beats an empty husk of wheat cannot get gain, one who simply speculates on the impersonal
on the impersonal realization and what the game is about.
So anyway, so the point is that without that tinge of bhakti, the impersonals get only trouble. They don't even get impersonal Brahman. And so therefore, then it's just like beating empty husk. What is the gain? Only trouble. That's all. And so here, Sanat Kumar is saying the ocean of nations is very difficult to cross because there's many dangerous sharks. What are these sharks? Yes, material desires. They're like dangerous sharks. And so therefore not so easy to cross. It's only possible to cross by taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Otherwise, they get only trouble. So as we discussed when we were discussing Moga, Sha, Moga, Karamano, you remember? So if they offend the Lord, there's no bhakti, they offend, then they cannot even achieve the impersonal Brahman. Yes, they have to accept that the Supreme Lord, He has a transcendental body, and some devotional practices, like maybe some chanting of the holy name, some worship, some kirtan, some devotional practices have to be there, and at least they must not offend the Lord. That much. Okay.
So the bliss aspect of this, but you know about Brahmanand. So ocean of Jalanand is equal to drop in front of Brahmanand. So they are experiencing bliss. Secondly, there must be like in 6th chapter we see Krishna says they experience bliss within. Krishna says when we practice correct realization. They must be experiencing some bliss, otherwise they cannot know it.
Yes.
So how they are without bliss?
But what is that bliss? We already discussed. What is that bliss?
Very high with Brahmanand.
Yes. That bliss is simply no suffering.
Oceanic in front of Jalanand.
Yes, because what is material happiness? What is material happiness? That's correct. But more precisely? So it is absence of suffering which is perceived as happiness. But otherwise it is only dukkha. Samsparshya bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. That is material life. And on level of Brahmananda, zero suffering. Zero suffering. So therefore when there is no suffering, then obviously one feels happy, no? If there is no suffering. If there is absolutely no suffering, no heat, no cold, everything is very favorable, then you will feel happy, no? Obviously. Prabhupada, in his conversations on his morning walk, so the discussion is going on Brahman realization. So Prabhupada gives this example. So just like here, there is this empty field. So if I tell you, stand here quietly in this field, very peacefully you stand. Nobody will trouble you, just keep standing in the open field. This is Brahman. Very peaceful, no? Nobody will trouble you. Open field is there, cool air is there, fresh air, and whatever is growing in the field you can eat. And live peacefully. No, you say oceanic or whatever you want to say. So this is the pleasure. No, see, somebody who is staying in this congested city, so many people around, and people are fighting and quarreling and this and that. If somebody tells you, see, we'll give you this room, we'll put AC also, we'll give you this room, and somebody will drop some prasad from the window, and nobody will enter the room. Nobody will enter the room. Just stay here, please. How will you feel? So for some days it will be nice, isn't it? It will be very nice, isn't it? No management, Hinjewadi management. nobody to preach to, nobody above me, nobody under me, nobody besides me, nobody anywhere. Shanti. So it is Shanti, no? Definitely the Shanti is there. But the question is, how long? How long one can stay in such a state? So that is happiness, no doubt. But the nature of the soul is to serve. And one experiences the real spiritual happiness only by serving the Lord. Without that, then it is just like that, very peaceful situation, very peaceful. So in comparison to the material world and so-called material happiness, it is thousands of times better. Because what is this material world and so-called material happiness? It's craziness. There's no happiness at all. Person is smoking, drinking, and is thinking is becoming happy. It is like happiness of the hog. That's all. Is it happiness? Happiness of the hog. Hog also thinks he is happy. But what type of happiness is it? Simply illusory. So, in comparison to that, Brahmananda is much better. But the soul is dissatisfied because there is no positive service. Therefore, then the person thinks, rather than the Shanti, better to do something in material life. So that's why they come back to perform some material activities. At least that performing activities will give some satisfaction. At least some social welfare activities, doing some sort of selfless activity gives some satisfaction. Therefore, they prefer that. Then that's why they'll end up doing that. Because that Shanti, how long they will stay like? Okay.
11.55 there was a much effort of जो वो देते हैं अपना they give money to the Krishna.
कौन?
11.55 last of 11 तक.
मत करो.
तो वो जो कर्म वो अपने जो छोटे प्रेजेंट दे रहे हैं तो भक्ति योग का पार्ट है निष्काम कर्म योग का पार्ट.
No, that is with the proper understanding. No? That is mat karma, mat karma. Karma for me. That means with the proper understanding the Krishna is supreme.
मंदिर में डांस करें प्रॉपर भक्ति है.
Not bhakti. Therefore, probably I think that verse is the essence of the bhakti. Okay. Any other questions on this verse? Important verse. From when? 2 decades. Kala pani. Isolation.
So generally we see that this material world, gross things have form, but subtle things they don't have form. Correct? And so and we know that subtlety is like somewhat higher than compared to gross. So some impressive people will say that because you are attached to this gross form, that's why you are attached to the form. But subtlety is higher. So we are higher. How to refute?
Okay, very nice. So you continue on a higher platform. Now that is one point. That is one point. Soul is more subtle than subtle. But then even if they say that okay, we are higher, you are lower, okay, then you remain on your higher platform. Why they are not able to remain? They're not able to remain on the high platform, correct? They come down to perform materialistic activities. Why? If it is actually high, then why they come down? What is that? So no, I am asking. So if you are asking how to refute, no? So this is refutation. So you ask them So if that is higher, then you remain on the high platform. Why you're coming down? This is Prabhupada's argument. So what will be your argument? Then there's no argument.
Just like we said, that practicing, eventually we are Krishna Brain. So they may also say that, we are practicing and eventually we will be again to the higher. Only time is separating.
That is in the future. Now you're coming back to perform social service, and then you talk about higher.
That argument we also give, like time is.
No, we are not talking about future. Now also we are experiencing. We're experiencing higher taste now. And now also we are continuing. We are not performing materialistic activity. Are we performing materialistic activity? No. We are doing full-time bhakti. We are not performing materialistic. Again.
Material forms like mind, ego, that it doesn't have form, correct? But we give that everything has form. That's why Supreme must have form. But certain aspects it don't have form. So they may say that mind has no form.
Okay.
So the Supreme must have no form.
No, the mind does not have form, but the body has form. So. Okay, fine. Now, even if you say, okay, soul is a surplus. Now, soul has form or no? Now, they will talk any nonsense. What does Shastra say? And then Prabhupada proved that even on the basis of logic. Now, even the subtle form, actually Prabhupada explained that, okay, we cannot see the mind, we cannot see the intelligence, but we say subtle body. That means subtle body also has a form. And Prabhupada's example is what? Coat, shirt. So why the coat has form? Why the shirt has form? Yes, body has form. So everything has form. So therefore, first of all, soul has form, then subtle body has form, gross body also has form. Everything has form. You may not be able to see the subtle body, you cannot see the soul, but other example, gloves. Why the gloves have shape? Because the hand has shape. So similarly, because soul has form, therefore subtle body has form, therefore gross body has form. Everything has form. We cannot see the subtle body, we cannot see the soul, but everything has form.
Subtle body constitutes our mind and ego. Correct. But that like these three components can be separated like just like we, in our body that is there. Correct. Now blood cannot be seen as a form. So like similarly,
blood has form. Blood, you take blood in a test tube, you can take blood. Liquid means there is form, isn't it? Yes, liquid takes the form of the container, correct?
mind can be then as a body like mind, intelligence and ego. Like अगर कोई इंसान से
okay. So because there are forms within the mind, therefore there are gross forms. Subtle creates gross. Because the mind is carrying impressions of so many gross forms, therefore one gets a gross body. Okay. So everything has form. कैसा रहेगा वो आपको
डाइजेस्ट करने में
उसको दिव्य चक्षु लगेगा. Okay. But on the other hand, now what about the devotees? ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्परः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्यु संसार सागरात् Bhavami na chirat partha maya veshita chetasam. But those who worship me, but, so he's comparing the previous verse talking about the impersonalists. But those who worship me, giving up all the activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pritha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. This is the purport.
It is explicitly stated here that the devotees are very fortunate to be delivered very soon from material existence by the Lord. In pure devotional service, one comes to the realization that God is great and that the individual soul is subordinate to Him. His duty is to render service to the Lord, and if he does not, then he will render service to Maya. As stated before, the Supreme Lord can be appreciated only by devotional service. Therefore, one should be fully devoted. One should fix his mind fully on Krishna in order to achieve him. One should work only for Krishna. It does not matter in what kind of work one engages, but that work should be done only for Krishna. That is the standard of devotional service. The devotee does not desire any achievement other than pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His life's mission is to please Krishna, and he can sacrifice everything for Krishna's satisfaction. Just as Arjuna did in the battle of Kurukshetra. The process is very simple. One can devote himself in his occupation and engage at the same time in chanting Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Such transcendental chanting attracts the devotee to the personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord herein promises that without delay he will deliver a pure devotee, thus engaged from the ocean of material existence. Those who are advanced in yoga practice can willfully transfer the soul to whatever planet they like by the yoga process, and others take the opportunity in various ways. But as far as the devotee is concerned, it is clearly stated here that the Lord Himself takes him. The devotee does not need to wait to become very experienced in order to transfer himself to the spiritual sky. In the Varaha Purana, this verse appears. Nayami paramam sthanam archiradi gatim vina garudaskandham aropya yatisam anivaritaha. The purport of this verse is that a devotee does not need to practice Ashtanga Yoga in order to transfer his soul to the spiritual planet. The responsibility is taken by the Supreme Lord Himself. He clearly states here that He Himself becomes the deliverer. A child is completely cared for by his parents, and thus his position is secure. Similarly, a devotee does not need to endeavor to transfer himself by he cannot save himself. But if someone comes and picks him up from the water, any intelligent man should always prefer the process of devotional service to all other paths. In the Narayaniya, this is confirmed as follows. या वै साधना संपत्ति पुरुषार्थ चतुष्टये यागना तदाप्नोति naro narayanastrayah. The purport of this verse is that one should not engage in the different processes of fruitive activity or cultivate knowledge by the mental speculative process. One who is devoted to the Supreme Personality can attain all the benefits derived from other yogic processes, speculation, rituals, sacrifices, charities, etc. That is the specific benediction. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Not futilely try to deliver himself in spiritual realization. Let everyone take shelter of the supreme omnipotent Godhead, Krishna. That is the highest perfection of life.
One should not futilely try to deliver himself in spiritual realization. That is what the Jnanis and Yogis try to do. They try to get the spiritual realization by their own efforts, by their own endeavors. And therefore, it becomes very difficult for them. But the devotees, they take shelter of the Lord. And then the Lord helps. So therefore, let everyone take shelter of the supreme, omnipotent Godhead, Krishna. That is the highest perfection. Okay, so this is the difference between the Jnanis and the Bhaktas. So the Bhaktas, they practice ananyena iva yogena. So you see how many times Krishna has used this word ananya. So many verses. Ananya. So that quality of devotional service is very important. Ananya bhakti. Yetu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya. So sarvani karmani, all activities, not some activities. Only for me. Mai sanyasya. Mam dhyayanta. So they meditate upon me, upasate, they worship me. So everything is for only Krishna. Then Krishna promises the result. Tesham, for such devotees. For such devotees, then aham samudharta mrityu samsara sadra. Bhavami na chirat, not too long. Very quickly. And then again he stresses, Mai aveshita chetasam. For those whose chitta is totally fixed, aveshita, in me. Fix their minds upon me. So if one is fixed in Krishna consciousness, Krishna personally comes to deliver. Personally. Just like Yoga Kshema Vahami Aham. Here also Aham, Samudra. Personally Krishna comes on his Garuda and delivers the devotee from the Mrityu Samsara. So therefore, the important point is the dependence on Krishna and surrendering all one's activities to Krishna. If one simply is ready to do that, then Krishna reciprocates. So that's the difficult part, because then it involves giving up the false ego. So the Jnanis and Yogis also, they have the false ego that I'm doing so much tapasya, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I will get the results by my own. So just like we read about Vishwamitra, he was trying to attain perfection. Of course, he got into that competition with Vashishta Muni. And then he became first what he became? And then he wanted to become Brahma Rishi. So all that he was saying, I will do, I will become. So that is the problem. But the process of bhakti means sarva dharman parityajya. This is the process of surrender. And that is what Krishna wants from the Jiva. Surrender. Keeping aside one's false ego, surrender. That's what we were discussing yesterday. Surrender to the plan of the Lord. whatever the Lord decides. So if one is ready to do that, therefore, as we read many times, so this process is simple. Process. One word, what? Surrender. That's all. Just surrender. That is the whole battle going on for that. Because the mind and the senses are always protesting. Why to surrender? Why to surrender? I'm intelligent. I can do this. I can do that. So that's the whole problem. But if one is ready to do that simple thing, but which is not so simple, then Krishna is ready to reciprocate. Six aspects of surrender. Anukula se sankalpa, pratikula se varjana. So all those six aspects. So everyone over here must be knowing that verse, correct? Anukula sankalpa pratikula. Very simple. Yes, very simple. But then that's where the challenge comes, the application. Rakshishiti vishwaso gopritve varnam. Krishna will take care. Krishna will take care. But then still the doubts remain in the mind. Will Krishna take? Will Krishna? What will happen when I grow old? What will happen if I don't store some prasadam in the locker? What if tomorrow I don't get? किसके बारे में? किसके बारे? वो हल्दर महाराज ने दिया था ना सरेंडर के ऊपर. हल्दर महाराज ने दिया था ना. नहीं वो ऑलमोस्ट सब कवर हो गया उस. Okay, 8 to 12 progressive stages of devotion. Mayyeva mana adatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivasheshyasi mayyeva ata urdhvam na samshayah. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. So now Krishna is speaking about the various stages of devotion, and from the higher stages is coming down. So this stage that is mentioned in the 8th verse is a very high stage. Mai eva mana adatsva. Fix your mind on me. Engage all your intelligence in me. So when can the mind be fixed in Krishna? So this is something like Ruti, Asakti. So these are very high stages, but the mind is totally fixed on Krishna. So we all know how much struggle it is to fix the mind on Krishna. So even for a moment, if we try to fix, next moment, gone. So, but it's only on the higher stage, especially Asakti, where the mind is fixed on Krishna. Even if the mind deviates away from Krishna, spontaneously the mind jumps back to Krishna. That is the stage of Asakti. So that is the stage that Krishna is talking about over here. So a devotee does not live on a material plane. He lives in Krishna, the holy name of the Lord, and the Lord non-different. Therefore, when a devotee chants Hare Krishna, Krishna and his internal potency are dancing on the tongue of the devotee. How many of you have seen? Anybody seen? But then this devotee can perceive that Krishna and his internal energy are dancing on the tongue. So very advanced platform. Okay. So if this is not, if one is not on this platform, what to do? Become frustrated? No. So then there is another option. What to do? अथ चित्तं समादातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततो मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire, Ichha, Mam Ichhaptum. This way, develop a desire to attain me. Okay, read the last two paragraphs. This love of God.
This love of God is now in a dormant state in everyone's heart, and there the love of God is manifested in different ways, but it is contaminated by the material association. Now the heart has to be purified of material association, and that dormant natural love for Krishna has to be revived. That is the whole process. To practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, one should, under the guidance of an expert spiritual master, follow certain principles. One should rise early in the morning, take bath, enter the temple, and offer prayer and chant Hare Krishna. Then collect flowers to offer to the deity, cook foodstuffs to offer to the deity, take prasadam, and so on. There are various rules and regulations which one should follow, and one should constantly hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam from pure devotees. This practice can help anyone rise to the level of love of God, and then be sure of his progress into the spiritual kingdom of God. This practice of Bhakti Yoga, under the rules and regulations, with the directions of spiritual master, will surely bring one to the state of love of God.
Okay, so this is basically sadhana bhakti, following the various rules and regulations, and gradually one can get purified, and then one will develop an intense desire to achieve Krishna. So this is Abhyasa Yoga, Abhyas. Remember, the 8th chapter also Krishna spoke about Abhyasa Yoga. So it's a practice. So of course, this will be discussed in detail in the next of devotion, sadhana bhakti, but then it is a practice. So therefore, Prabhupada is giving the list of all these activities. Rise early in the morning, take bath, and temple, offer prayers, chant Hare Krishna. So this abhyas has to be done constantly, every day. Then this practice can help anyone rise to the level of the issue of progress. And all these rules and regulations must be followed under the direction of a spiritual master. Then they will surely bring one to the stage of love of God. Now, if one is not able to even follow all these rules and regulations, then what? Abhyas api samartho asti matkarma paramo bhava madartam api karmani kurvan siddham avapyasi. Abhyas api asamartho. If one is asamartha, unable to do this abhyas, then at least do mat karma. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Purpose. One who is not able to even to practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga under the guidance of spiritual master can still be drawn to his perfectional stage by working for the Supreme Lord. How to do this work has already been explained in the 55th verse of the 11th chapter. One should be sympathetic to the propagation of Krishna consciousness. There are many devotees who are engaged in the propagation of Krishna consciousness, and they require help. So even if one cannot directly practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, he can try to help such work. Every endeavor requires land, capital, organization, and labor. Just as in business, one requires a place to stay, some capital to use, some labor, and some organization to expand. So the same is required in service of Krishna. The only difference is that in materialism, one works for sense gratification. The same work, however, can be performed for the satisfaction of Krishna, and that is spiritual activity. If one has sufficient money, he can help in building an office or temple for propagating Krishna consciousness, or he can help with publication. There are various fields of activity, and one should be interested in such activities. If one cannot sacrifice the results of his activities, the same person can still sacrifice some percentage to propagate Krishna consciousness. This voluntary service to the cause of Krishna consciousness will help one to rise to a higher state of love for God, whereupon one becomes perfect. So one cannot perform or follow all these rules and regulations of sadhana bhakti, then at least do some work for Krishna, some work. So as Prabhupada is saying, some labor, capital, land, money, something, give something, do some service for Krishna. And then gradually one will get purified. So therefore we find many people who begin like that, and then eventually they get purified. They become serious in Krishna consciousness. So just like this Rati, what is her name now? Who brings fruits every Ekadasi? Ras Mukund. So initially when I was coming to Kunjabari temple, the only thing that he was doing is bringing fruits. The devotees would request him to chant one round. He would say, I'm ready to do anything. Don't tell me to chant. That was his reply that time. But every Ekadashi, as a regulation, he was bringing these fruits for the brahmacharis and for the deities. Now, practically, he's been doing that since 20 years. So, but initially it was only fruits. But then you see the transformation. So yes, so that's how it happens. So therefore everyone, and therefore that was Srila Prabhupada's policy actually. Engage everyone in some service. Whatever service they can do, engage them. Because that's how they will get purified. So according to their capacity, abilities, talents, skills, Prabhupada engaged everyone in some service. And in the morning we were speaking about the Surabhi Prabhu, who came as an architect. So then he, as we told, he went to Akash Ganga, he met Shyam Sundar Prabhu. Yes, initially it was Saurabh Das. His first initiation was Saurabh Das, then Surabhi Maharaj, that is a sannyasi. So he met Shyam Sundar Prabhu, and then Shyam Sundar Prabhu said, our spiritual master is over here, would you like to meet him? He said, yes, sir. So he was a hippie, this Surabhi Prabhu. So Shyam Sundar Prabhu gave him 1 rupee or something to get his hair cut. And then, so next day, both of them went to meet Srila Prabhupada. Shyam Sundar Prabhu introduced him, Mr. So-and-so is an architect. As soon as Prabhupada heard architect, Prabhupada said, come. He made him sit beside him, and he removed the drawings for the Jew project, placed in front of him. This is yours. He has not begun chanting one round, not one Mahamantra, but Prabhupada immediately placed the drawings in front of him. This is your job. And of course, eventually cutting short. So that's how Prabhupada engaged everyone according to whatever they can do. He engaged everyone. And we have this famous example of this this person who did the constructions in Juhu. What's his name? Unless Krishna gives memory, so many times we spoke about this person, but now the name is not come. He was a civil engineer and he helped in the construction in Juhu. So he was
Surabhi Swami Maharaj. Surabhi.
No, Surabhi is the architect. There was this person. Anyway, so he did so much of help in the construction. He was helping with the construction of the initially. Srila Prabhupada added 1 floor to all the tenant buildings to help in that construction, and so much construction. And when the temporary structure was broken down, You know that story in Juhu. Temporary structure was broken down, and then they had to reconstruct it before the court hearing on Monday. Right, on Friday, it was broken, and then right, Saturday, Sunday, they had just 2 days to reconstruct. So that then once it is constructed, then they cannot do anything. And this Mr. N, now he was trying his best to prevent them from constructing once again. And so his men came, and this person, Sethi, yes, Sethi. So this Mr. Sethi and his son, so at whole night they were guarding, with a gun, and so that man came, Mr. N's man came, and then he asked the son, how many bullets are here? He said some 250. So he said, see, if you want to do anything, you get 250 men. So to get more than 250, then something will happen. I got 250 here. So he and his son, all night, they were guarding. And so, Srila Prabhupada, he said, and you're constructing all these buildings for Krishna. Krishna will construct your house in the spiritual world. So officially he was not a devotee. We don't know whether he was chanting. Surely he was not initiated. But he went with so much of service. So Prabhupada was pleased, ultimately. So that's what he's saying. So if one is not able to follow, then one can at least do some work for Krishna, and gradually one will be purified. So that's what he's saying. And we find there are many cases like that. People who came to ISKCON initially just to do some work, and then eventually they got purified. Eventually they became devotees. There are so many. Here, there was one devotee who came as a carpenter to do carpentry work, and later became devotee. Brahmachari, you won't tell me. So, like that, there are so many who come and eventually. क्या हो गया? हाँ? सब इच्छा के ऊपर है. 6:11 अथैतदपि असक्तोऽसि कर्तुम् अभियोगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्म फलत्यागं ततः कुरु यदात्मवान्. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act, giving up all the results of your work, and try to be self-support.
It may be that one is unable to even to sympathize with the activities of Krishna consciousness because of social, familial, or religious considerations, or because of some other impediments. For attaching himself directly to the activities of Krishna consciousness, there may be objections from family members or so many other difficulties. And then, to have such a problem, it is advised, it is sacrificed to accumulate the result of his activities, some good cause. Procedures are described in the Vedic laws. There are many restrictions of sacrifices and special functions for the full moon day and the special for the Vedic.
कैसे होगा?
And there is a special work in which the result of one's previous action may be applied. Right? When they gradually become elevated to the state of knowledge. It is also found that when one who is not even interested in the activity of Krishna consciousness gives charity to some hospital or some other institution, he gives this, he gives up the hard-earned results of his activities. That is also recommended here because by the practice of giving up the fruits of one's activities, one is sure to purify his mind gradually. And in that purified state of mind, one becomes able to understand Krishna consciousness. Of course, Krishna consciousness is not dependent on any other experience because Krishna consciousness itself can purify one's mind. But if there are impediments to accepting Krishna consciousness, one may try to give up the results of his action. In that respect, social service, community service, national service, sacrifice servants, etc. may be accepted so that someday one may come to the stage of pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, we find it is stated, Itaha pravritti bhutanam. If one decides to sacrifice for the Supreme Cause, even if he does not know that the Supreme Cause is Krishna, he will come gradually to understand that Krishna is the Supreme Cause by the sacrificial method.
This, I suppose, is one of the most liberal purports of Srila Prabhupada. So here, Krishna is saying, okay, atha etad api ashaktasi. If you are unable to perform the karma as described in the previous verse, then at least do sarva karma phala tyagam. Sacrifice the fruits of activities for some cause. And Srila Prabhupada is explaining here that if one attaches himself directly to the activities of Krishna consciousness, there may be objections, family members, so many difficulties. For one who has such a problem, it is advised that he sacrifice the accumulated results of his activities to some good cause. That means some punya work. That's what he's talking about. The main description sacrifice special function of punya. So some punya work. Sacrifice the fruits of activities for some cause, so that one develops detachment from the fruits of one's activities, and by that one gets gradually purified. That's what he's explaining. But this is a little special case here. The person actually wants to perform Krishna consciousness, but there are some impediments from family, society, and so on. Therefore, for such a person, this is being recommended. So it is not directly a recommendation for performing this type of social service and national service. This is special circumstance where a person actually wants to work for Krishna, but there are some impediments. So then in that case, Krishna is saying, okay, then you sacrifice the fruits of your activities for some good cause. Okay, so there is a condition here. It is not directly philanthropic work. So, therefore, Prabhupada is explaining it like this. And therefore, the acharyas sometimes put this under the category of Bhagavat Arpita Nishkam Karma Yoga. So, the person knows who is Bhagavan. He knows who is Bhagavan, and with that understanding, he is sacrificing the fruits of his activity. So, therefore, it is not just karma yoga, it is not just sacrificing the fruits of activities, but it is with the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So, therefore, this is a little special category. It is not, though apparently appear to be ordinary punya, but still the person has some more knowledge than just the person who is doing some material punya. Therefore, this is a little more closer to bhakti rather than just some philanthropic work. Therefore, Prabhupada is again specific. In the beginning of the purport, he said that. Now, again in the middle of the purport, again he makes that point. It is also found that when one who is not even interested in the activities of Krishna consciousness, so then he talks about a person who is not even interested in the activities of Krishna consciousness. gives charity to some hospital or this and that. So then he gives up the hard-earned results of his act. That is also recommended here, because by the practice of giving up the fruits of one's activities, one is sure to purify his mind gradually. And in that purified stage of mind, one becomes able to understand Krishna consciousness. But then again, he makes the point, because of course, Krishna consciousness is not dependent on any other experience, because Krishna consciousness itself can purify one's mind. But if there are impediments to accepting Krishna consciousness, one may try to give up the results of his action. In that respect, social service, community service, national service, may be accepted, so that someday one may come to the stage of pure devotional service. Okay, so your Prabhupada is putting that clause that actually the person, he wants to perform Krishna consciousness, but there are some impediments. And for such a person, then he may sacrifice the fruits of his activities for all these other activities. And then he can get gradually purified.
In everyone is considered social service is the best in one sense. Like what बड़ा कार्य कर रहे हैं आप social service कर रहे हैं. There is a prevalent in their mind. They are thinking it is the best. ऐसे लोगों के लिए ये तो लोग कौन वाले हैं धार्मिक लोग हैं ये सब खाते पीते हैं इनको दाने नहीं जरूरत है अगर इसे तकलीफ नहीं कहता है ये तो इनकरेजमेंट की तो हेयर होल्ड नहीं करते करें इसके अंदर आएगा साइड ऑफ तो भी एक इंडिपेंडेंट है ना तो माइंड सेट है ये सब चीज़ों को देने का प्रभाव देने का फायदा नहीं है मैं यहाँ थोड़ा बहुत देते 50-100 रुपये यहाँ पर भी बस वो बड़ा कार्य है गरीब को खिलाना दान ये हमने बहुत अजब गजब काम करके देखा तो इसमें मोटिवेट करना
that is not our business. To motivate them for mundane social service is not our business. No, therefore, rarely Prabhupada has written a purport like this. Usually Prabhupada is always condemning social service, philanthropic work, nationalist service, all this. Prabhupada is always condemning. But here, therefore, Prabhupada is again, he's qualifying that. The person actually wants to do Krishna consciousness, but there are some impediments. In that case, Prabhupada is qualifying that. So therefore, see, if the person is doing social service, he's going to do it anyways, correct? He's going to do it anyways. So we don't have to encourage someone to do social service. वैसे भी वो करने वाला है. So, but somebody is doing social service, then at least we can motivate him to give something for Krishna. Then that's how his devotional service can begin.
We are neutral.
We can encourage them to give for Krishna. Yeah. So if we start saying no, your social service is very nice, no, it's not our point. That because we know that type of social service, material punya, will keep him bound in the material world. So we don't encourage that. But here, special situation where one is unable to give for Krishna, then it is said, okay, give for some good. If he is unable to give for Krishna, otherwise everyone should be encouraged to give for Krishna.
But अगर हम directly सत्य बोलेंगे, तो for Krishna अपना फायदा नहीं है, लगता है.
नहीं तो ठीक है ना, तो शुभ समय वहां भी देते यहाँ भी देते धीरे धीरे. So that, so if one is not at all interested, then ठीक है, फिर कुछ तो करो, at least material पुण्य करो, कुछ तो फायदा होगा ना. At least if it does material punya, some goodness, some purification, then that, as we discussed in some of the previous classes, then at least that may be a conducive situation for him to come to Krishna. But we don't encourage that. We don't encourage that. But if somebody doesn't want to give to Krishna, he wants to give somewhere, okay. Better than not giving at all, Just give some. To Krishna. Then see, our business is what? To bring people to Krishna consciousness. That is our business. As devotees, that is our business. That's all. If somebody doesn't want to give where he wants to give, that is his problem. That is not our business. So we encourage people to give to Krishna. तो अगर वो देना चाहते हैं तो फिर हम क्या करेंगे? We can't force people, ना? हाँ, तो धीरे-धीरे वो purify होगा ना? So because he's detaching himself from the fruits of his activities, so that will lead to purification. So detachment leads to purification. So karma yoga means what? Giving up the fruits of activities. Yes, some help will be there because he's detaching himself from the fruits. And Mayavadis also have some connection to transcendence. There's some connection to the Supreme in the form of the impersonal Brahman. Some connection is there. But the very act of giving purifies the person. And as Prabhupada says, then at least he gets into the habit of giving. Prabhupada tells the story now of the sadhu who went to a house and the lady was in a bad mood. So the lady said, "Get out of here." So the sadhu still didn't go. The lady was angry. "I told you, get out." So still he didn't go. So finally the lady got so frustrated, she took some ash, they burn wood for cooking, some ashes there. So that ash she took and threw it in the bowl of the sadhu. And the sadhu smiled. And he said, "Very nice, at least you have begun to give something." So that is the mood. जो हमारा है फ्रूट्स उसको वो अर्पण करना चाहिए, दोनों में मतलब क्या डिफरेंस है? नहीं, डिफरेंस ये है कि 10 में he is doing some direct work for Krishna, direct seva, land, capital, organization, direct seva. And in 11 it is not direct, only fruits. मतलब जो हमारा उसका पूरा दिन. Okay, so these are various stages. Now, if somebody is not able to do even that, then 12th verse. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasa jnanadhyanam vishishyate jnanat karma phala tyagas tyaga shantiranantaram. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. So now Prabhupada is explaining the second paragraph, what this verse means. Read the second paragraph.
In summary, to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the highest goal, there are two processes. One process is by gradual development, and other process is direct. Devotional service in Krishna consciousness is a direct method, and the other method involves renouncing the fruits of one's activity. Then one can come to the stage of knowledge, then to the stage of meditation, then to the stage of understanding the super soul, and then the stage of Supreme Personality of Godhead. One may take either the step-by-step process or direct path. The direct process is not possible for everyone. Therefore, the indirect process is also good. It is, however, to be understood that the indirect indirect process is not recommended for Arjun because he is already at the stage of loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord. It is for others who are not at this stage. For them, the gradual process of renunciation, knowledge, meditation, and the realization of Supreme and the Brahman should be followed. But as far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, it is the direct method that is best. Everyone is advised to take to the direct method and surrender into the Supreme Personality Godhead, Krishna.
So what is being described in this verse is the indirect process, step-by-step process of going to the yoga ladder, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and then Bhakti Yoga. So if one is not able to come to Bhakti Yoga directly, then go by the step-by-step. That is what this verse is. All right, so these are the various stages that Krishna is describing. And so everyone at whatever stage one is, one can gradually make progress. That is the point. So no one can say that he is totally deprived of bhakti. Everyone, from whatever stage they are, they can gradually make progress and gradually come to the point of love of God. And now the last section of the chapter, where Krishna is speaking about the ultimate prayojan of the practice of bhakti, 1320 qualities that endear one to Krishna. So as we discussed this quite a few times, that in the 8th chapter, 28th verse purport, Prabhupada is written, the study of the Vedas is meant for, more precise, study of the Vedas is not meant for the recreation of armchair speculators, but for the formation of character. So this is the goal. This is the goal of the study of the Vedas. This is the goal of bhakti. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavata kinchana sarver gunay satra samasate suraha rava bhaktasya kutomadguna manoratina. So the ultimate goal of the practice of bhakti is the development of the good qualities. That is the barometer to check whether one is developing, whether one is progressing on the path of devotional service. Because the qualities are naturally there in the soul. Why? Yes, Pandamas of Krishna. Krishna has all the qualities. So therefore, the soul also has. But now all the qualities are covered by material contamination. And to the degree the material contamination is removed, then the natural qualities of the soul become manifest. So that means if proper purification is taking place, material contamination is reducing, then symptom has to be the good quality should be. अभी अर्जुन कौन से स्टेज पे? हाँ, प्रेम. सुनो I was just wondering why nobody asked this question. Now the prerna is coming. So, as Prabhupada has already explained, that's why we read this purport, right? Then the purport is very clear what is being spoken out. It is the indirect process. Now, so if you see what Krishna is speaking about, if you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. So what is that knowledge? Yes, Jnana Yoga. Then better than knowledge, meditation. What is that? Ashtanga. Better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. What is that? ऊपर आता है, कर्म योग सबसे ऊपर आता है. भगवान ने कुछ गलती किया. नहीं, वो कभी समझ में नहीं आने वाला. So therefore, the acharyas say what Krishna is referring to here is the renunciation of the fruits of action, which is not simply karma yoga, but which is bhagavad arpita nishkam karma yoga. That means the person is renouncing the fruits of action, but with the proper understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality. So therefore, it is very close to bhakti. Now, it is somewhat like, which was? Somebody said it. Yes. It is like yat karoshi, yadashnasi, yadjuhoshi, dadasi. So that time we had a whole discussion, if you remember. Why it is not bhakti yoga? So therefore it is not pure bhakti yoga, but at the same time, it is not sakam karma, but it is basically karma jnana mishra pradhani bhuta bhakti. So it is mixed devotional service with some mixture of karma and jnana, right? So it's very close to bhakti. But basically he's renouncing everything, he's renouncing the fruits of whatever he does for Krishna. So that type of renunciation of fruits is being referred to here. So he's renouncing the fruits for Bhagavan. So he has the proper understanding. But at the same time, it is not pure bhakti yoga. So therefore, but it is higher than jnana and ashtanga yoga, higher than karma jnana yoga. But at the same time, it is not kevala bhakti. So that is why. So that type of renouncing the fruits is what is being referred to. Okay? Huh? No. This knowledge that is being referred to here, that's jnana yoga. Jnana yoga. Meditation referred to is ashtanga yoga. No. Yeah, if it's Krishna centered, it will directly become bhakti. Na? So this is the what we speak of in the yoga ladder. The previous verse. No, therefore in the last verse, in the 11th verse, therefore Prabhupada clarified that actually the person wants to perform devotional stuff. So therefore he's on a higher plane. Therefore the 11th verse is somewhat like this Bhagavad Arpita Nishkam Karma. He has understanding of Bhagwan, he wants to do work for Bhagwan, but there are impediments. So therefore that verse is considered to be on a higher platform than the indirect verse. Yeah? सही बात है ना. नीचे आ रहे भाई, ग्रेडेशन है ऊपर से नीचे. क्लियर ना? But Prabhupada is writing, na? Prabhupada is writing, na? There may be objections from family members or so many other difficulties. For one who has such a problem, it is advised that his sacrifice accumulate result of that. So basically, yes. So the person he wants to give for Krishna, but then sometimes we do find, isn't it? There may be opposition from family members, and sometimes it may be very difficult to openly practice bhakti. There are some situations like that. अच्छा. हाँ. Uh, uh, so sometimes, so some people may have very severe impairment. Yeah. 12th with the renunciation of the fruit. See, the 12th verse is talking about gradual process. 12th verse is talking about gradual process. So 11th verse is very close to bhakti. ठीक है ना? 11th verse is very close to bhakti. वो mixed वाला. वही है 11th verse. It's very close to bhakti. So if one is not able to do that, then ठीक है. नीचे से कर्म योग, ज्ञान योग, अष्टांग योग, फिर ये मिक्स्ड भक्ति जो वो यद करोषि यद अष्टांगी, फिर अनन्य भक्ति. 12th वाला पूरा योगा लैडर है, सिर्फ यद करोषि वाला नहीं है, पूरा प्रोसेस है. हाँ, नीचे से ऊपर. हाँ 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 हाँ. नहीं, वो 11th वाला भी वैसा ही है, यद करोषि जैसा ही. हाँ, वैसा ही. ठीक है. So basically, this is what it means. Now, what is confusing there? Process here, for those who are actually not able to follow principles of Krishna consciousness, where you read third line. For those who are actually not able to follow the principles of Krishna consciousness, it is better to cultivate knowledge. Correct. Okay. Then gradually knowledge will develop to the point of meditation. Then the confusion started, because by meditation one will be able to understand Supreme Personality of Godhead by gradual process. Yes. So now he is telling that there are processes which make one understand that one himself is the Supreme. That sort of meditation is not is preferred. Yeah. If one is unable to meditate in such a way, then prescribed duties such as abject. So this prescribed duties is not no. Yes. So because Prabhupada is explaining knowledge, meditation on Brahman, because better than knowledge, however, is meditation. Meditation of Brahman. Then better than meditation is renunciation of fruit. That renunciation of fruit, Prabhupada is explaining as prescribed duties as enshrined in the Vedic. So that's also fine, no? So one is performing prescribed duties and renouncing the fruits of activity. That's also fine. So just like Karma Yoga, in Karma Yoga, what one is doing? Performing prescribed duties and renouncing the fruits. So that's fine. Okay. Now coming to the qualities. So this is a list of qualities, and Prabhupada is briefly explaining each one of them. Very nice purports. Quite simple to understand. There's nothing much technical to understand. So you can read on your own. We'll just recite the verses. Somebody read the translation. We'll just recite together. Advaishta sarvabhutanam maitra karuna eva cha nirmamo nirhamkara samadukka sukha kshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma drida nishchayah mayyarpita mano buddhi yo mat bhakta same priyah. One who is not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-control, and engaged in divine service with a determination. His mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of a mind is very dear to me. Yasmano dvijate loko lokano dvijate chayah harsha marsha bhayodvege mukto yasacha me priyah. He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. Okay, here Prabhupada says, no one is put on difficulty, anxiety, fearfulness, or dissatisfaction by such a devotee. So, devotee should not put others in anxiety. 16. अनपेक्ष शुचिर्दक्ष उदासीनो गतव्यतः सर्वारंभ परित्यागी यो मद्भक्त समे प्रियः. My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without care, free from all pain, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. 17. Yo na rishyati na dveshti na shoshati na kankshati shubha shubha parityagi bhaktimanya same priyah. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. Such a devotee is very dear to me. Sama shatrau cha mitre cha tata mana pamanayo शीतोष्ण सुख दुखेषु समसंग विवर्जितः तुल्य निंदा स्तुतिर्मौनी संतुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेत स्थिरमतिर् भक्तिमान मे प्रियो नरः. That means equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, pain and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything. But even care for any resident who is fixed in knowledge and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very devoted. 19. ये तो धर्मामृतम् इदं यथोक्तं पर्युपासते तद्ददाना मत्परमा भक्तस्ते शिव मे प्रियः. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme God, are very, very deep. Thus, in the Bhagavan purports to the 12th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of devotional service. Okay, we have some quotes from Srila Prabhupada on these verses. Read. Not only for the human society, but animal society, bird society, bee society, vegetable society, insect society, society. They are also Krishna's sons, God's sons. Therefore, Krishna says, one who is actually a devotee and wants to be very dear to me, this qualification must be Advishta Sarvabhutanam. We must be not envious towards all living entities. That's right. Treat them just like a friend. That's right. The devotee is friend to everyone. He doesn't want to kill even an ant or a mosquito. So you know that pastime, no? Prabhupada embraced those trees while moving from John Lennon's estate to Bhaktivedanta Manor. Just before, so all the devotees were moving from John Lennon's estate to the manor, and all devotees sat in the car. Srila Prabhupada, he didn't sit. And then just before he sat, he embraced some 5 trees in John Lennon's estate, and then he sat in the car, and then he moved. That evening, there was a storm, and those trees went back to Godhead. So that was Srila Prabhupada's special compassion for those trees. We don't know why those trees specifically. But Atmatattva Prabhu tells this pastime of how there was one old man who he was trying to preach to. He was quite old, his legs were all swollen, so many health issues and all that. And so I think so this was a June. So he thought that this man, if he meets Srila Prabhupada, maybe he'll begin chanting. He was not ready to chant. So he took him to Srila Prabhupada and introduced him. And then Prabhupada asked him, so do you know chanting? The man said no. So Prabhupada told Atmatattva to give one beads. So he got one mala, and Prabhupada began to chant, and Prabhupada chanted on the whole mala. And he gave it to the man. He gave it to him. Now you chant. So the man began to chant. And then within a few days he left it. Within a few days he left his body. So Atmatattva was saying, what causeless mercy, just causeless mercy. The man had no intention to chant nothing. Prabhupada chanted the whole round and gave it. Sunadi? Chanted and gave it. So that way Prabhupada delivered millions of people. Okay, next.
Karuna means kind. Devotee is kind to everyone. It is not that Krishna consciousness should merely be spread in India or among the Brahmanas or the. No. The Krishna conscious person will teach Krishna consciousness all over the world as far as possible.
Karuna.
Nirahankara means Nirahankara means I am Krishna's servant.
No false ego, but true ego.
Kami means excuse. A devotee is especially attacked by the demons because Prahlad Maharaj was a devotee. Even his father was an enemy. What to speak of others? So, a devotee will have to meet so many enemies. We have the example of the life of Lord Jesus Christ. When he was being killed by others, he said to excuse them. God, they do not know what they are doing. That is the devotee's position. Kami. Always excusing. We have to learn this. Santushtaha. So, if Krishna desires that I should suffer like this, why should I bother? Let me suffer. There are many verses to support this. When a devotee is put into distress, he thinks it is God's kindness that he is giving me little pain, some hurt, although I should have suffered more. Right? So therefore, the devotee remains santushta, satisfied and also. Nishta means he believes in the word of Krishna. The devotee believes that we have nothing to do except to surrender to Krishna. Then all my business. Drida Nishta, to surrender. Archita Monar Buddhi. Mind and intelligence are always focused on the lotus feet of Krishna. You come to the temple, observe Radha and Krishna, and always think of him. That is the highest, topmost yoga system. Therefore, deity worship is very important. If you are engaged in deity worship, you are always see the form of Krishna and Radharani. And if you always think of Krishna and Radharani within your heart, then you become topmost yogi. Neutral. Just see, when I went to America, I went with 40 rupees. So Srimati Murarji gave me a ticket, and I had only 40 rupees. That 40 rupees would not be spent there. Then when I was embarking, I told the Captain Pandit, I have not a single dollar with me. Will you purchase one set of my books? So Swami, what is your price? $15. He paid me $20. So Prabhupada says anapeksha means neutral. So in the purport here, Prabhupada says, money may be offered to a devotee, but he should not struggle to acquire it. If automatically by the grace of the Supreme money comes to him, he is not agitated. That is the meaning of anapeksha. The money comes, may not come, but the devotee is not agitated. That is the meaning of anapeksha. Subha. When I was in Boston, I was thinking, I have come here, how will they receive me? As soon as I say no, no meditating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, immediately they will reply, please go home, don't preach here. All right. So for 1 year, there was no success, and I was always going to the shipping company to ask, when does your ship next return? So the manager said, Swamiji, you are always inquiring, but you never go. I said, yes, when I am too frustrated, I come here to ask you. Then I go back again. Let me see 2 months more. It was going like that. Nobody was there with me. Aniketaha. Automatically Aniketaha. there was no place to live, no money. Sannyas means aniketaha. Now we have 100 temples, but Krishna does not allow me to stay more than 8 days. I am dependent on
Krishna. Hare Krishna. So Shubha Prabhupada in the purport says that a pure devotee is neither happy nor distressed over material gain and loss, nor is he very much anxious to get a son or a disciple, nor is he distressed by not getting them. If he loses anything which is very dear to him, he does not lament. Similarly, if he does not get what he desires, he is not distressed. He is transcendental in the face of all kinds of auspicious, inauspicious, and sinful. He is prepared to accept all kinds of risks for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Nothing is an impediment in the discharge of his devotional service. Such a devotee is very dear to Krishna. Prabhupada की जय, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, संवेद गौर भक्तवृंद की जय. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So thank you all very much for your kind attention over the long, boring classes for 10 long days. So I'm personally very grateful to all of you for giving me an opportunity to serve, and we hope that we hope that we continue to get an opportunity to serve, and all of you can kindly bless that I can follow what I am speaking and purify my own existence. Please, Srila Prabhupada and the Vaishnavas. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
It is time to be for converting the right. I went to the Hare Krishna.
Answers. So 2 questions. I don't know how many of you have got handbook. Everyone has? Yes. So anyway, there are 2 questions. Third question. खोलो पढ़ो उसको. इतना पीछे कहाँ देख रहे हो? सेकंड यूनिट है. Okay. So the third question in the list of questions, the third question that you're supposed to write is on demigod worship. Okay. So there are references in the 7th chapter and 9th chapter, and also some references in the 3rd chapter. Okay. So you can write systematically. First of all, who are demigods? Then why there is demigod worship mentioned in the Vedas? We discussed all these points. Then we can write about the demigod worshippers. Krishna is speaking about the demigod worshippers, how they're Ritagyana and all that, why they're Ritagyana. And then we can describe the relationship of the Lord with the demigods and their worshippers. Krishna speaking in the sense that the faith is given by the Lord, benedictions are given by the Lord. And the 9th chapter is also describing how the process of demigod worship is indirect worship of the Supreme Lord. So that can be described along with all those analogies of describing the offices and all that. And then finally, you can write about the destination of the demigod worshippers and the fruits that they receive. So in this way, with subheading, you can write that entire answer on demigod. And the second question, that's the 9th question in the list, that is about Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, personal application. So there you write the verse The verse, translation, important points from purports, and then you write personal application. Okay? You write the verse, translation, important points from the purport with quote, and then you write personal application. We have discussed many personal application points for all the words.
Translation from the word. That is not suggested in the book. Earlier it is said that don't copy directly.
Special verses. So here you can just write the verse and the translation. Other things in your own words. Only verse and translation. Because they're all in. No. That also you write in your own words. Few quotes may be 20% quote. Okay, okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. जो बोला जाता है वो, हाँ, सभी के ऊपर कोई ना कोई तो जरूर है. अभी इतना पूरा कौन स्वतंत्र है? हाँ, शिव कृष्ण स्वतंत्र.
So 16th, as you say, will be the date for oral, and 27th of February will be having submission of review and review simultaneously. 27th of February, final exam. 27th February.